So far we've done distance, rate, and time, which is the first day. Then we've done proportionality, which is it proportional or not, and writing that rate of change, practicing with that rate of change, and finding your y-intercept. And the y-intercept tells you it's proportional or not. Today we're doing actually solving of proportions, meaning they look just like fractions, and you're seeing for equivalence because they have to be equivalent to each other. So scale factor is what are you going to multiply these two in order to get these two. It's like the reverse of simplifying fractions, except for these are actually ratios, so they can be improper. It's just what are you going to multiply this to get to the new side. Another way to think about it is if you have 2/3 as a fraction and you have another set of 2/3, that is 4/6. If I have 3 sets of 2/3, that is 6/9. 4 sets would be 8/12. 5 sets would be 10/15. And that's where you're getting your unknown because it's identified in that equivalent fraction or equivalent ratio. If I just went right here, the answer for x is a 10. So another way to skip all of this is just to say, okay, what are you multiplying by 3 to get to that 15? In this case, you multiply 3 by 5, so a scale factor of 5 to get that. So you could jump and say, well, 2 times the same number of 5 will get you 10. And so this has a scale factor of 5. Your answer is x equals 10 because that's what number would go right there. Just don't write it in there. Just you rewrite it separate like this and you say x equals 10. Then you will know that's supposed to be a 10. So number 2, let's try it without writing all this in the middle, all these other equivalent fractions. What do you multiply 3 by? How many sets of 3s get to 36? In that case, you need to know that 3 times 12 will get you 36. So multiply 5 times 12, the same number, and x equals 60. And you are done right away. So again, you're looking for your two known sides. 9, what do I multiply 9 to get to x? So 4, what do I multiply to 4 to get the 32? In that case, I know it is 8. So 4 times 8, write your scale factor, get you 32. So 9 times 8, x equals a 72. And you write it just like these. So I want to see x equals 10, x equals 60, and x equals 72 for the final answers. Okay, so these were typos. Go ahead and add these to it, the ones in red to it, because these were the original questions. These are actually after you reduce, and you reduce the 3/9, divide both by 3, that's simplifying, and you get 1/3, and you just write the x over 15 again. The original question for this one is 20 over 6. Now notice when you do this, there is no scale factor from 6 to 15. I can't multiply 6 by anything. 6 times 2 gets you 12. 6 times 3 jumps to 18. So what I do is I look at this ratio right here and I simplify it just like I would a fraction. I divide 2 by 2 and divide by 2 and I get 10 over 3 for the new ratio. Now I could easily find the scale factor. Just like on this one, now I could easily find that scale factor. So the hard part of this is just identifying it, saying, okay, 9 times nothing gets you 15, but I can simplify this fraction. So let's try it. Once you simplify, you get 1/3. You work from here and then find your scale factor. So what you have is 3 times 5 gets you 15. Write it on top again. Your scale factor is 5. So 1 times 5 will get you 5. So x equals 5. Now if you think about it, If you put a 5 right there, it simplifies down to 1/3 or 1 to 3. So these are equivalent to each other once you put that 5 in there. Okay, so next, these are not improper on number 5. They're just ratios. So 3 times 5 gets you 15. 10 times 5 gets you 50. So x equals 50. And that is reasonable. You check your reasonableness because this number obviously has to be bigger. The top number has to be bigger than the 3, and 50 is bigger than the 15. So you're checking to make sure they make sense. These scale factors both happen to be 5, but that's just by coincidence. Okay, just like you were taught last year in 6th grade, unit rate means 1. Finding the cost of 1. Finding how much one person is. Finding how much anything is as a unit of 1. So 5 CDs is $40. You will then just divide the two, write it down, 40 divided by 5, and you get 8. So your unit cost is $8 each, which is your for 1 CD. Okay, so the next one, you got 6 for 108. So 108 divided by 6. That gets you 1. Your remainder is 4, 8. That goes in there 8 times. Remember, you got to keep going because this is money. And you got a 0. So that means that is $18 per ebook. And that is using unit rate. Now the great thing about unit rate is once you do this and you find that unit cost, you can multiply by any amount of CDs, any number of CDs, and you would get your new cost. So this is an infinite number of answers once you find this unit rate, because you could calculate, okay, well 10 CDs is $80. 2 CDs is $16. Just like on this one, unit rate is 18, so 2 ebooks, you could just double it, is 36. And this works for all problems. Just divide the 2 and find out how much 1 is. Okay, on the last problem, this is also known in 6th grade as the butterfly method. This is known as the butterfly because what you did was you are going to multiply by those butterflies. So what you get is 2x equals, and you have 7 times 10, so 2x equals 70. And then you have to deal with that one-step equation. Divide by 2, divide by 2. So x equals 35. You move on, make sure that is a reasonable answer. If I put a 35 right there, is it reasonable? Well, I do know by the known side that the bottom number has to be larger. So it's got to be larger than 10, so 35 is reasonable because it's at least 3 times the size. So that has to be more than 30. So let's check the next one. Butterfly method, 8 times x and 3 times 28. So 8x equals 28 times 3. So that gets you 8x equals, and you're just solving this side, and you get 84. Now that is, again, just a one-step equation. So divide that off your x. X equals 10.5 or 10.5, whichever you want. Next one. You got your equation. 21x equals 14 times 6. That gets you 21x. 14 times 6 is 84. Just by coincidence, it's the same as the other one. You're dividing off that 21 and you're writing it twice. So x equals, and you solve this side to 84 over 21 and you get 4. Now again, you could check for reasonableness on these. So you do know that this has to be under half the size because half of 8 is 4. So it's got to be less. Half of this is 14 and it's got to be less. And 10.5 is a reasonable answer. 4 is smaller. And again, of course, the top number is smaller. So it is 2.5 like that. So 2.5, that would be reasonable to get the 14, 4 out of 14. Okay, last one, butterfly method. You get 4x's equals, and that is 9 times 3. So 4x equals 27. Divide off both sides. One-step equation. So x equals, and this comes out to, just like this is improper, if that is improper of 27 divided by 4, you could treat it just like an improper fraction, and you will get 6 with a remainder of 3. So 6 3/4, which is the same as 6.75 or 6 3/4. So if you are going to check for reasonableness, it's, if you multiply 4 times 2, you're going to get 8. So it's a little bit more than half. You multiply 2 times 3, which gets you 6, and it is a little bit more than that. So that is a reasonable answer. Always check for reasonableness. Now the butterfly method works for all types of proportions. So this one is the safe one, and this is the one you worked on most in 6th grade. But if you look at this is a lot of work on number 8. All you had to do really is scale factor, because if you multiply 2 times 5, you will get 10. So 7 times 5, and you get 35, and it'll jump directly to this answer. If you look at number 10, you could have done the simplifying method. If you recognize these, they could both be divided by 3, and that will get you a 7 on bottom. So that is another way. Butterfly method works for all proportion problems. The scale factor one is just as simpler if you recognize it. So please look for those, because it will save you a lot of work. Okay, so now on the homework, use the appropriate strategies it asks you to use in each of the 4 categories.